I'm worried. Arsenal were good. In fact, they were incredible tonight. That is probably some of the best football I've seen Arsenal play. They have Odegaard back. They have a pretty much full squad. Calafiori on the left, Timber on the right. The dynamics are there. I'd say if Declan Rice gets back in his best form, you put him as a 6 and Mourinho as an 8, that is probably Arsenal's strongest 11. And they were absolutely fantastic today. And I've always said this on Arsenal. They had a blip last year. They went on that Dubai trip around January time. They came back. They were phenomenal and they took Manchester City to the final day. Everybody does this thing. Every season Arsenal have a bit of a blip and everyone writes them off. Everyone says they're out of the title race. There's still 20-something odd Premier League games to go. Liverpool will drop points. Arsenal, if they play like that and they play like they did versus Nottingham Forest and Manchester City continue to be, oh my God, absolutely shite. I mean, although I think Arsenal will probably be wanting Man City to get a result versus Liverpool, Arsenal could do something in the Premier League, in the Champions League. I don't know what it is, but away from home, when they've not scored in their last 4 games away from home in the Champions League, they were fantastic. And 5 big chances created, 3.89 XG to Sporting 0.96. It says it all. Now, I think Sporting set up quite open. I don't think they did the homework about Arsenal. I remember when Arsenal played Lens last year, and it was about a year ago today, and that was probably the best Arsenal performance at the back end of last season, where a few Arsenal fans felt they weren't as fluid to begin with last season. They had that performance versus Lens, and that's because Lens gave them space. Today was a bit of a repeat of that. Sporting gave them space, and you can see what Arsenal do with space. And Arsenal, now everybody's back, returning from injury. They look fluid. They were clicking. And when you look at Manchester City and the football they're playing, I think Arsenal will finish above City. It just depends what happens with Liverpool. Will they drop off? What's going to happen with Liverpool? That's the big question, because you know what? I want Liverpool to drop off. I don't like Arsenal. I can think of nothing worse than Arsenal winning the league. But the one thing that's worse than Arsenal winning the league is Liverpool winning the league and getting 20 titles and matching United. But let's talk about Arsenal, because I am going to talk about jurrien, Timber, how good he is, Saka. Yeah, we're going to talk about these people. Odegaard. Also, this is mad. Victor Gyökeres won 1 out of 10 duels. Absolute monstrous performance from the Arsenal defence. But let's talk about my general thoughts on the game. I'm going to talk about the player that I basically made videos begging Man United to sign. I bitchy was like, Man United need to sign this guy who can play right back, he can play centre-back. We didn't go for him in the end, which was annoying. Well, we went for him in the Ten Hag's first season. Van Gaal told him to stay away, wouldn't play with the Netherlands. And then the following summer, he went for Arsenal. We didn't go for him, which was so annoying that we didn't get him in the first place. But let's talk about this. Don't write Arsenal off, because every time Arsenal have a blip, people write them off. Arsenal's team is good. Arteta is a good manager. I'm saying this as a Man United fan. Arsenal fans start crying. Everyone starts writing Arsenal off because they drop points in a couple of games. The team is good. The manager is good. The players are good. I've watched them play. They're good. They might have a period of a blip, but they will be back. The question is, it's down to Liverpool dropping points, but Arsenal are good. And I don't like to say that as a United fan. And today, they were excellent. This is probably the most fluid I've seen Arsenal since 22-23, where I think that was that sort of surprise season where they really came out. And I think, again, one of the reasons was maybe because of Sporting giving them space, but Arsenal looked sharp. There was no injuries. They look smooth. They look fresh. I think Declan Rice is playing with an injury. I don't think he's been at his best this season, but I will say with Declan Rice, he's best as a 6. Rice, Mourinho, Odegaard is Arsenal's best midfield 3, but right now it'd be Partey, Mourinho, Odegaard. Something's not quite right with Rice, but I think that's one because he's been playing as an 8 and 2 because he's got broken foot. I think Rice is an excellent player. If I was an Arsenal fan, it'd be the least of my worries. But Arsenal looked fresh. They were in complete control of the game. They were clinical in the box. They defended their own box incredibly well. Gyökeres is such a talented striker, but they were clinical going forward. They took their chances, and that is why they won the game. Gabriel and Saliba absolutely dealing with the most informed striker in the world. He was taking shots from all the way out, trying to just make something out of nothing. It was tough for him today. Obviously, he did get doubled up on by the centre-backs, but it was tough on him today. And I think people will just overlook Arsenal every rough patch. They had a rough patch last year. Everyone wrote them out the title race. They took it to the final day. Liverpool, I think, have been really good this season, but Liverpool will drop points. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Man United fan and I want Liverpool to drop points, but they definitely will. They could drop points to City. City could do something ridiculous because City don't want to go 7 games unbeaten. And as fun as it would be to see City get battered, I need Liverpool to drop some points. I cannot deal with the idea of them winning the league. But this is the first team to beat Sporting since August, Arsenal today. First team to beat Sporting since August, and also the first team to beat Sporting at their own ground in over a year. And in those opening 10 minutes, the way Arsenal came out could have scored 3 or 4 goals. Sporting in the second half were a lot better. They came at Arsenal. There was a 10-15 minute period at the beginning of the second half where, maybe Sporting scored that early goal and got behind Arsenal's skin a bit. And then the penalty, I'm surprised Diamonde stayed on, but the penalty sort of changed the dynamic of the game. And the way that Saka took that penalty, so calm, cool, collected as well. That guy, man, Saka is phenomenal. But as I say, give Arsenal space and they are lethal. They will pound at you in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the way. Whoosh. And I think one of the big things for me was not just Odegaard's return. Odegaard was fantastic there. Saka, Odegaard, jurrien, Timber, right-hand side. It's cheat code. It's so good. I hate it. But Timber and on the right footer, someone that can receive the ball at all angles, progress the ball, make the runs forward. Calafiora, who wasn't as good as Timber today, but I think he's just easing up and getting used to the system on the left. Again, left footer can make those first time passes, get forward, always available to receive the pass, underlap, overlap, progress the ball. The build up, the unpredictability, Arsenal can utilise both sides. They've got dynamics on both sides, particularly the right hand side, the Timber, Odegaard, Saka dynamics, fantastic. But Marino, I think Calafiora, and if you get a top left winger, I think Martinelli's good, but I think if they could get a top left winger on that left-hand side, boom, the dynamics are there to shine. So let's talk about my man of the match, Mr. Fantastic. And Saka won my man of the match, which is more than fair, but I thought this guy was fantastic. And if you've been following me for a while, if you followed my Man United channel, I was banging on about jurrien Timber since Tenor was appointed at Man United. And obviously he had that massive injury last year, so we didn't get to see much of him. And even as a United fan, I was really sad when Timber got injured because just such a big fan of the player, despite him playing for Arsenal. But he's so technically good, so secure on the ball, can retain it. Every time he gets the ball, he's technically good. He can receive it every angle. He can retain the ball. He influences every phase of play. He can progress the ball. He can ease, a through pass. He can break the lines of his pass. He can get the ball with his back to go at a weird angle, turn with the ball, play it forward through dribbling, through passing. The runs he makes as well, he gets really high up the pitch to the point where actually he's in, I think his goal contribution numbers could particularly go up. I was thinking about him for FPL even. Can overlap, can underlap, can be a midfielder, can be a fullback, can be a centre-back, can be what you want, but he can invert and act as a midfielder. He's basically got all the qualities of a midfielder. He's got that Ajax Academy, Johan Cruyff philosophy kind of thing. And then he's also a centre-back and a fullback, and he's so good on the ball. He's so technically skilled, but he's athletically good, he's strong, he reads the game well, he defends the channel as well. There's a fantastic player in jurrien Timber. He's edging world class. Like, if you put those performances in consistently for the next year, you'd have to say world class, if you did. These are my other notes on jurrien Timber. Outstanding player. I think he raises Arsenal's squad depth, and the reason I say that is because I don't see how Ben White gets an over him, and considering how good Ben White was last year, if you have a player of Ben White's quality on the bench, that's elite squad depth. Getting good squad depth isn't by buying players that are a little bit worse than Declan Rice to have on the bench in case Declan Rice gets injured. It'd be buying a DM that you think's better than Declan Rice, having Declan Rice on the bench. That's how you get squad depth, and that's what you've done with Ben White and Timber. That's what you've done with Zinchenko, Calafiore. That is what Arsenal are doing. His movement skill, ability to bypass defensive lines, exceptional, capable of playing in so many areas. His ability to advance the ball, control the wide area is fantastic. He's got the abilities of a midfielder. He makes an impact at every end of the pitch, every phase of the pitch. He's good. He's so comfortable in every phase of the pitch. He can influence every phase, build up. And Odegaard is the same, and we'll talk about that. Neutralises the winger, defends well, knows where to position himself, defends the channels well. And Arsenal look better with him in. They look more fluid. I felt one of the reasons Arsenal were better and more fluid was because of the fullbacks and the dynamic it brings, having a right footer and a left footer, and the fluidity and the abilities on the ball and in build up. I felt Arsenal have 4 players that are so comfortable on the ball in build up. And I think, particularly with Odegaard dropping deep as well and helping in that first days, Arsenal's build-up was so unpredictable. And I think with Timber, he was dominating the wingers. He was getting forward really high, and I felt Arsenal's gameplay was better with him. Now, Arsenal's man of the match is Bukayo Saka, who I think is a little bit almost underrated in the weird way. I think, there were some Arsenal fans that overrated him. But I've said this for a while. Saka is better than Foden. Because when City start crumbling, Foden goes missing. When Arsenal are good, Saka shows up. When Arsenal are bad, Saka shows up. For England, Saka shows up. I've been saying this for ages. Foden shouldn't have won Player of the Season last year. He's a little bit overhyped because of aesthetics. Saka, for me, is the player that I'd want in my team. I'd take him at Manchester United in an absolute heartbeat. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 shots on target, 2 fouls won, 4 take-ons, 8 duels won, 12 touches in the box, 15 goal contributions this season, and positionally, he plays quite out wide for a winger. If he was a winger, had more freedom to go central, I think he could have 4 or 5 more goals this season and be on ridiculous numbers as well. People don't realise that Saka's more of a wide player. If he could have the ability to go central, you'd see his numbers go up even higher. He's one of the most creative players in the league. He's getting an assist nearly every game. He's so selfless. His passing, his movement, his intelligence, his ability to read the game, fantastic. He can score, he can strike, he can dribble. His work rate, ability to win duels, get down the flank, bypass defenders, progress the ball. He's got everything. And I saw this from Ben Mattinson on Bukayo Saka here. Everything in attack goes through him. He creates fear in defences. He's inevitable. He knows he's the main man. He creates chances out of nothing. He's world class. He is him. He is the Arsenal. He is Bukayo Saka. And I agree. He creates chances out of nothing. He's a game breaker. He's a game changer. He takes that penalty so cool and collectively. You give him a role centrally, left, right, left back. He will do it. Foden could not do that. Bellingham and Saka had to be changed positions to try and accommodate Foden. But, Saka, any system, any role, he can do it because he's simply just a fantastic player. He is, and I think he deserves more respect because the minute he has 1 or 2 bad games, people go Saka stinker, Saka stinker, Saka stinker. People are so quick to hate on a guy that's not going to be amazing every game, but he's a very good player, and I think he deserves more respect for that. And if you get into things like this, it was said that Bukayo Saka completed more successful dribbles than every other player on the pitch combined in the first half versus Sporting. 4 was getting at people, making things happen, provided the assist for Havertz's goal. Fantastic. Those first 15, 20 minutes, electrifying for Saka. He was fantastic. But let's talk about Odegaard, because I think Odegaard coming back, his influence was massive. I saw so many tacticos on Twitter try and make out that Odegaard holds back Arsenal and that Arsenal will be better without Odegaard, and it's just pure nonsense. He is the system for Arsenal because he's almost Arteta's voice on the pitch. That's how I see Odegaard. A little bit like Arteta's voice on the pitch because he's so tactically aware. He's basically the system for Arsenal. The thing with Odegaard is he understands every phase of the game. He knows what is needed. He knows that he can influence the first phase, the build-up. He can obviously influences the second phase. And then the final phase has got that creativity, can unlock a defensive pass, has got that ball striking ability, the dribbling ability to make something happen out of nothing, if that is the case. Odegaard is someone that influences all phases of play. He's bringing balance to that right side with Saka and Timber, and that was fantastic. And I think Sporting being so open made it easier for Odegaard. I think Nwaneri would have loved probably more minutes in that role as well. I think Nwaneri could have caused a lot of problems, but I thought that Odegaard was absolutely fantastic. His influence, his leadership on the team. And I said this in my last video when I was talking about Odegaard in the Forest game. I said the big difference of Odegaard coming back in is the way he points to players and he's telling his teammates where to run, where to position themselves, where to be. The way Odegaard gets involved in play, will point here, will point there, will say go here, go there. He's like instrumental on the pitch in terms of setting the tempo and telling the players where to go. And I think him, Saka, Timber, that side was cheat code, honestly was. And I think he's so influential for Arsenal because he gets involved in every phase. He sets the tempo, he gets the team ticking, he's got the technical elegance, but he's also got work rate, physicality, defensive work, just everything you'd want in your player. Work rate, intelligence, technically good, physicality, he's got it. And since his return, Arsenal scored 8 goals in 2 games. And Forest are a team that aren't very open. Sporting were very open, but you can see that Arsenal have gone up a level and there's more belief in them as well. And I think Manchester City bottled a 3-0 lead because they lacked the belief. Having a character like Odegaard on the pitch gives Arsenal that belief, and the mental side of it is so big. And then look, last but not least, let's talk about Gabriel and Saliba. They were monstrous today. Do you know what I noticed about them was how confident they were and assured they were. They have the ball and Sporting players would be running to press them and they're like, nah, you ain't bothering me. They were so confident on the ball. They were so assured. Basically they won 9 out of their 10 duels against Gyökeres. Gyökeres had very limited touches in the box, only 5. If you look at Gyökeres, he didn't complete any dribbles. He didn't get any goals. Half his shots were half shots outside the box because he just couldn't get in. And obviously he was being bullied by these two. And when they basically they are an elite centre-back pairing. The stats have backed that up for a while, and they can deal with Haaland on their day. They can deal with Shokra's on their day. And if I'm a player at Arsenal, and I know I've got those two centre-backs behind me that could deal with Shokra's, that can deal with Haaland on his day, I would feel very comfortable as an Arsenal fan, and I'd feel very comfortable as an Arsenal player. Arsenal fans, let me know your thoughts down below on the match, but I have to say, you were absolutely fantastic today, and I think you are back on track, and I'm a bit worried. See you next time. Bye.